Let's chat Seahawks here because they've lost some players and are also linked to some free agents out there on the open market. Now we got all the latest Seahawks news here, beginning with the signing of Shaquill Griffin to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's agreed to a 3-year, $44.5 million. Now, there's some up to figures thrown in there, but there's $29 million guaranteed. The Seahawks, as a result, as far as I'm concerned, I think from a money perspective too, have lost their top free agent, which is pretty disappointing for Seattle. The reports were that they didn't offer a ton of money at the beginning, tried to offer more as things went along, and in the end, Griffin took more money to, in a way, kind of go back home to the state of Florida and get a big-time deal from Jacksonville. The Jags paid a premium for a corner they hope can pair with C.J. Henderson to form a dynamic duo on the outside. The Jags have been super aggressive in free agency thus far. Now, Griffin's been a bit inconsistent. He does have a Pro Bowl caliber season on his resume. But this past year, up and down, $62.1 million, 644 yards as well. 6 touchdowns, also picked off 3 passes. So for Seattle, now things are a little bit dicey because Quentin Dunbar, who was injured a lot this past year, is also a free agent. Marquise Blair, he's your nickel, or maybe it's Ugo Amadi, but neither is probably an outside corner. If they lose Dunbar, it's Trey Flowers and DJ Reed, and that's not good enough. So Seahawks fans, let me know in the comments. What is your panic level at right now? Seattle's made no moves. They've only lost some players, and they lost a big one in Shaquill Griffin. So rate this for me on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being you're not concerned at all, 10 being you are melting down and freaking out. Get your votes in. Rate it for me on a scale of 1 to 10. I do want to mention the other Shaquem Griffin, has not been tendered by the Seattle Seahawks. So as a result, there's a pretty darn good chance he ends up in Jacksonville. He wants to play with his brother. It's going home. Of course, both guys went to Central Florida. I think that makes a lot of sense. So Griffin's tendering would have cost about $2 million. It's a lot of money to pay for a special team guy who spent some time on the practice squad this past year. So I'm not overly surprised by that, but both Griffins might be done in Seattle. I also want to go to KJ Wright. So the report from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN that the Seahawks are in serious discussions about a potential re-signing. Now, Wright has previously said he wants to stay in Seattle, but that he would not take a hometown discount. And I think for Wright, this is probably his last shot at a big-time significant contract. If Wright does not get the bag this year, with his age and the way the NFL works, they're ageist, he might not get it again. So Seattle is not going to get much of a discount. Now, maybe it's a $1 or $2 million, but going after and trying to re-sign KJ Wright for a team that has a limited amount of cap space, I'm just going to say it, is a bad decision. I love KJ Wright, the player. Please do not get me wrong there. I love him. He is a fantastic football player, and there were games last year where KJ Wright outplayed Bobby Wagner. But you've already paid Bobby Wagner, You drafted Jordan Brooks in round 1. For the most part, you're only going to play 2 linebackers. So you're going to have your first-round pick from last year be a part-time player as opposed to a full-fledged starter? I think that's a bad decision. Now, look, if you can get KJ Wright cheap, okay, totally different conversation. If you can get it for the Gerard Davis deal, okay, sure, that's fine. But if you're talking borderline 8, 9, 10 million over a multi-year deal, I think that's a bad call if you're Seattle. All right, free agency rumor now. The Seahawks, one of the few teams that have not signed an outside free agent, but they are interested in Leonard Fournette. The report from Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated. The Seahawks have made a quote-unquote strong bid to poach him from the Buccaneers. Now, Fournette in the playoffs, Lombardi Lenny, playoff Lenny, he was solid. Regular season, Lenny, not great. Now, there are 3 teams that Breer has mentioned as being linked to Fournette. The Bucs, obviously, the Seattle Seahawks, and then the New England Patriots, which I find very interesting. Now, Breer did not mention the price tag on Fournette. It can't be that much. If you're paying him more than $5 million a year, even though he's a former first-round pick, he was not good in the regular season. Under 4 yards a carry. Yeah, he had 6 touchdowns. Disappointing production. But if you get playoff Fournette, playoff Lenny, he was a lot better. Averaged almost 5 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns, was vastly improved in the passing game. But that's dangerous, right? I do think this, by the way, if Russell Wilson made a big deal about getting offensive line help, and the Seahawks would then sign Fournette as they sign no offensive lineman, might not go over to it, but more on Wilson coming up, right? Chris Carson's a free agent. I am unsure if he's going to be back with this team. Rashad Penny, DJ Dallas, I actually meant to note that they re-signed Alex Collins, my bad on that one, folks, and Travis Homer, it's okay. Fournette might be the number 1 back if they bring him in, so get your votes in here. Should Seattle sign Leonard Fournette? Type in Y for yes or type in N for no. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I did want to mention the Seahawks trade stuff here with Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, because how can you not, right? New York Daily News put out a report. Pete Carroll is high on Sam Darnold, and they could trade for him in the event that Russell Wilson is done. A couple notes, because this article got taken out of context pretty heavily, I think. Getting Darnold to Seattle would not mean that Wilson is dealt to the Jets. In fact, the hypothetical stuff that was mentioned in here was that Seattle trades Wilson somewhere else and then trades for Sam Darnold. Now, there have also been numerous reports from Ian Rappaport and others that Seattle's not really engaging in trade talks. That the yes teams have called, but so far, they're not really showing all that much interest in him. Carroll has praised Darnold before. They're both, of course, USC guys. They did not overlap whatsoever. The problem is, and this is me being blunt, he's not good. And I'm sorry. I know that Darnold was a top 5 pick and first rounder and had all this promise, and he's in a bad situation. He's never been good in the NFL. So if you think that you can have a different situation maximizes him, okay, I guess I get that. But Wilson to Darnold is a substantial downgrade in, frankly, every facet. No, by the way, if Darnold's good, then you got to pay him in a year anyway. Now, the New York Daily News mentioned 3 teams linked to Darnold. And I start to wonder if this article was helped pushed by the Jets organization, because Washington just signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, so cross them off the list. The Denver Broncos, I don't think are a fit with Drew Lock in place, and they're going to look for a veteran, if anything. The Niners, also per Rappaport, are not interested in Sam Darnold. So there are all the teams out of the way. And from that perspective, I don't get it. So look, I understand that the Russell Wilson trade rumors are going to continue to swirl. All right, and I get that until the Seahawks come out and say, we're not trading Russ, or the Seahawks restructure Wilson's deal, they're always going to be out there. I know Seahawks fans are annoyed by that, and I understand it too because it's kind of frustrating, right? But the reports are Seattle has answered trade calls, but they aren't really engaged in them. Now, if I were a team like the Bears, every single day I would pick up the phone and say, hey, what is it going to cost to get Russ on this team? Every day I'd be calling and making a different offer, even if it's a same offer as previously. Every single day. Which is annoying, yes, Producer Sam, but I would be annoying because if I'm a team like Chicago, I know if I don't get Russ, I might lose my job next year. In the end, I don't think Russell Wilson gets dealt. I think in the end for Seattle, you're hoping to bring him back to that early 2020 results and the play from Wilson, where he was, frankly, an MVP frontrunner, if not outright favorite there. So, I want to make this clear. I do not believe that Russell Wilson is going to get dealt this offseason by the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think it happens. But down the road, next year, if things don't get better, it's a concern. So what do you guys think is the percent chance the Seahawks end up trading Russell Wilson? So let me know what you guys think. And again, any percent chance that you want, throw it in for me in the comments section. Percent chance the Seahawks add Russell Wilson. Now, Seahawks fans, I got some gear for you guys, or gear deal for you guys out there. Hat, t-shirt combo, 40% off. You can get both of these things for normally the cost of just one of these items. chatsports.com/12combo. We'll put that link in the comments and in the description. It's chatsports.com/12combo. T-shirt hat combination pack. It's a perfect deal for you guys if you're a Seahawks fan. Quickly here on some of the other Seahawks moves, by the way. Philip Dorsett added to the Jacksonville Jags. The Jags are poaching all the Seahawks players. The terms are not yet known on Dorsett's deal. This is noteworthy, but also okay. Dorsett did not play for this organization after signing a 1-year deal. He was hurt, had a foot injury, and then just never made an impact, right? The other move that the Seahawks player lost, I should say, Carlos Hyde goes to Jacksonville on a 2-year, $6 million deal. A lot of connections between Hyde and the Jags, right? Brian Schottenheimer, the OC, he's back. Trent Baalke drafted Hyde in San Francisco. And, of course, he played for Urban Meyer at Ohio State. So there's a lot of connections there for Carlos Hyde. For Seattle, meanwhile, as mentioned, yeah, whatever. Honestly, 2 years, $6 million, probably a bit of an overpay. So at that point, it's not a big deal for Seattle.